past 2 years, Jocko Fuel has been the only supplement I've consumed. It's helped me stay in shape now that my competitive career is finished. If you've been waiting to try Jocko, the wait is over. Jocko has now teamed with Walmart, bringing clean fuel to the entire nation. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all the good stuff and none of the bad. And I'm talking no added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. Jocko Fuel is now available in Walmart nationwide. Products available at your local Walmart are Jocko Malt, ready to drink, Jocko Malt Powder, and Jocko Pre-Workout. How convenient. Guys, the time is now. Consider trying some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. You can even do it online. Use code CHAEL30 at JockoFuel.com or just stop by your local Walmart and get your hands on some Jocko ASAP. Don't wait, might not last. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Now there's no excuse for not having clean fuel. Guys, I want you to go get Jocko Fuel today at Walmart. What's the money on it, Haas? You guys remember that story? I'm driving Joel past a property. And every time I pass this property, I have the same conversation with whoever is in the car with me, which is that guy has the greatest view in all of West Lynn. So one day we're pulling up the hill. Joel's heard me say that 50 times. It's one of those things, I can't stop saying it. You got anything like that? But it's true. I've never known anyone that lives there, so I've never got to pull in. The house blocks, but I can just see, man, he's got the whole valley. He's got the mountains. He's got everything. And I've always wondered what he wanted for it. You know, if that house is going to go up for sale, how can I be the one that gets to find out before it goes on the market? How do I do that? Do I knock on the door? What do I do? So I'm pulling up the hill one day, and Joel's in the passenger seat, and I said, hey, man, the guy's there. His gate's open. He's outside. He's doing something with his car. I'm like, the guy's there. The guy, yell to him. Ask him. Ask him if is there a price that you would sell your home for? Joel's like, I got it. He rolls the window down. I pull up next to the guy, and Joel yells, what's the money on it, Haas? I pulled away. We never get, the guy said, you know, something like, what did you say? And Joel repeats it. What's the money on it, Haas? Like anyone is supposed to know what that possibly means. But I'm kind of getting there with this Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall situation. What is the money on it, Haas? And Joe Rogan put out, and I can only think that Joe misspoke. Joe's not this dumb. He heard that John's going to get $30 million. And I just share with you, like, he must have misspoke. There's no way that he did hear that on any level of good authority. And if he did hear that on good authority, there's no way that he was foolish enough to have believed it. But that is fiction. But what is the number? He has a contract. There is a signed contract. And in all the years that you do business with Jon Jones, you don't get to make a lot of money. That's just the truth. Jon had the Roy Jones curse put on him, which is he was so clearly better than everyone else, right? You watch sports, you watch movies, you watch television programs for the same reason. Find out how they end. Find out what happened. Simple as that. I could ruin any movie for you if I could get your attention right before you sat down to watch it. I could just tell you the end of it. It's the whole reason you watch. And when you have a game, but you don't wonder at all who won, that's what Jon had done to him. He got that good. Roy Jones got that good. Everybody in the 90s will tell you Roy Jones Jr. was the best boxer of the entire decade. But you couldn't tell me one big fight that he had. He had world title fights. You couldn't tell me one. You couldn't tell me one single opponent that he had. You couldn't tell me one sold-out gate. You couldn't tell me one pay-per-view record that the greatest boxer of an entire decade had. Tough. That's a really tough spot. Michael Jordan might be the only thing that I could compare Jon Jones to. But Michael Jordan was different. He had a level of greatness. And I remember even when the Bulls would come to Portland, we weren't some great team. But we weren't bad, right? We had Clyde Drexler and Jerome Kirsty and some of these guys. And But nobody can play against Jordan. Jordan will dribble around all these guys. We could not wait to get down there. My friends would be talking about it. The tickets are selling. They're reselling on the open market. Jordan was so great that people were willing to just go witness his greatness. And that is not something that happens in any other sport. I cannot think of another time when somebody's greatness alone brought in the fans to see. That's generally something the fans are turned off by, but I'm just sharing for you. Jon got that good. So if you're in business with Jon and you're trying to pay him what he should be paid, whether he's that good or not, whether you can sell out a building or not, that you still have some ethical obligations to a guy that is doing everything that he's been asked to do, and he's doing it that well. So you try to figure out what the money is, but now you find yourself in a situation for, I can't call it the first time ever, but aside from Daniel Cormier, which we're supposed to believe didn't happen, right? I mean, that gets turned to a no contest. We're supposed to believe that did not happen. So if we do go on the belief, then yeah, it's the first time ever. It's the first time ever that if you're in the Jon Jones business, you're going to make some money with Jon. So when we're talking about what's the money on it, let's take a look at what the ranges are. You're going to have one side arguing, we're going to do what we're contracted to do. And if for once there's finally some profit in there, we've certainly earned it. Okay, great. But you're going to have another side that is saying $30 million. Now, it's one of the parts why I'm so dismissive of Rogan saying something so silly. Jon was throwing out numbers that he wanted, and the highest number that ever came to him was $30 million. And they said, how much do you want? He said 20, 25, man, I want 30, make it 30 million. It was just like that. It was relaxed. It was the biggest number that popped into Jon's head. Okay. But we still now have a parameter, right? We have a legally binding contract, and now we have 30 million. Like, can you at least see where if 30 was the number for however it came up, even if it just spit out of somebody's mouth, if 30 is the number, you see where when you get to the meeting, the other side does not offer you 31. Can we agree on that? Okay, great. So we're somewhere between contract and 30 million. Now, it's a very hard spot because you think, or Rogan thinks, that he's coming from a perspective of I'm looking out for the boys. I'm looking out for Jon Jones, and therefore I want to get him $30 million. In theory, that's not bad, but in reality, you now capped him. Jon Jones, per the contract that's signed, does not have a cap. So he wouldn't stop at 30 million. If the numbers worked out and it was 32 million, he would get 32. It would be 38. It would be 40. It's one of these situations. Now, the numbers are not likely to be that high, so I do understand the argument slightly. But what is the money on it? Because Jon's not wrong either. If Jon says we have a signed binding contract, but that contract also states the remedy, which is you can release me. You can strip me. So I am willing to go by that contract because I'm willing to be released or stripped. And they say, hold on, let's talk. Okay, great. But now we're not going off the contract, right? It's a very big detail that Jon got. And now you play the game until the other side finally says, take it or leave it. If you do not ever hear the words take it or leave it, they're not done talking. So I don't know what the money is. I don't know. You're going to have projections by a company that's great at making projections with an incredible analytics department. You're going to say, here's what we're projected to do. And then you're going to show the check, which just on these projections is going to make for the biggest check we have ever filled out to anybody in the history of the organization. But if you're in Jon's spot, you got to be willing to give something up. So if Jon wants to change the contract, right now he's getting paid on the back end. He wants paid more on the front end. So if he wants paid more on the front end now, then he's got to let the back end go. And all of a sudden he is capped. And it's not a terrible argument by Jon. He's sitting down saying, hey, you want me to go off of these numbers? They're your numbers. So you believe them. You accept them. I don't think they're that high. make the check out for 12 and we'll call it even. I mean, there is a way to have a discussion, but as soon as we got capped at 30 and as soon as we found out we weren't going with the contract, we do have our parameters a little bit. So for Joe to come out and say, yes, I believe that Jon got the number that just happened to be the highest number that he spit out, he had to have misspoke.